Now we continue our look back at the week's news and some of the more controversial issues with one of my favorite segments of the week, Left, Right, and Middle. Joining us today is award-winning, Pulitzer Prize-winning Karen Hunter, on the left, of course, and then also Tom Avitable, who is brave enough to come back and go another round.
Working on my Pulitzer. So.
And I understand that you are an author. You have 3 books out right now?
That's right, I do.
What are the names of them?
Actually, 2 and 1 coming out. The Eighth Day, Hammer of God, and The God Particle.
Boom, there you go.
The God Particle, that's you?
Yeah.
Yeah, look right there. It says so on the screen.
It was on TV. It must be true.
I'm
bringing my book next week.
There you go.
Bring all your books.
Why not? Lay them out, yeah.
Okay, so we got a lot to talk about.
Let's go.
We reported earlier, I don't know if it was this week or last week, there's this program where kids come and do reenactments. One of the many reenactments that this organization provides is a reenactment of the Underground Railroad, which of course involves slaves. And so these kids were to act like slaves. So here's my question to you. Now, first of all, slavery is a real part of our history.
Yes.
Right? So should this reenactment be any more controversial than any others? We do Revolutionary War reenactments, Civil War reenactments. Why is this one different?
Do we? I don't.
And I saw you do the head tilt.
Well,
so.
I've never seen a Holocaust reenactment.
Yeah.
No, all right, and I know that you're like, oh, but I think it is as brutal and as horrific for a young person to experience. We've seen the memorials, and to actually have to sit and be a slave for however many minutes or hours that they're doing this, I think is ridiculous and horrific, and there's another way to get that message through.
I see you nodding your head. Do you agree with this?
Well,
or?
I disagree with the fact of putting young children through that to the point where one of the girls was actually emotionally affected. I mean,
I think she threw up, right?
Yeah, and
it's brutal.
I think there's a latent kind of rage that maybe her teachers are experiencing. I kind of get it out and took it out on this little girl. I really think that happened in a kind of a passive-aggressive, over-liberal
and I think,
kind of modality.
Are you referring to the specific incident? Because there was an allegation in the complaint made to the Department of Education that one of the teachers or participants used the N-word.
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, and the reason why the little girl was traumatized.
Right, and the organization is saying they don't know that actually happened.
Well, I was going to say, just to be clear, I got violently sick after watching Roots and couldn't go to school the next day. So I don't know if just that experience alone, just to watch, to feel what it must be like to be a slave, has its own traumatic effect. You don't need to call the girl an N-word to add to that.
Oh, I agree with that.
That said, if we're going to do that, let the white kids go through it, right? And
I was hoping it was balanced,
mixed?
Right?
Well,
We're asking you like you were there.
As far as I know, I was not there, but I'm imagining all the students that are a member of the class, no matter what their racial background. But this is an interesting concept. What do you have to say to Karen about just let the white kids do it?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I mean, if education is education, it's part of our history. So if it's part of our history, it's our history.
I like him.
We own
just
it.
The white kids. Just not let the black kids actually do the slave master thing, and let the white kids go through the experience of being a slave. I think that would be a teacher. Yeah, I think that would be a teacher. I agree with that. People, that's what you need to do.
But
okay,
may I just say, I hope they also go into the program and they celebrate the black Americans who were involved in the Revolutionary War, who were fighting for their country, which is our country. That's been dropped from education. We're focusing on one thing because I believe there's a little more hay to be made there. But there are black Americans who fought and died for this country during the Revolution. And I hope that's part of their program.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get any disagreement from Karen on that. Okay, let's move on to something that I'm sure will spark a little bit more disagreement. All of a sudden, to the forefront has been this freshman senator from Texas, Ted Cruz, who staged this long speech. It wasn't really a filibuster. Okay, to try to prevent a vote on this bill that would include defunding the Affordable Care Act. So here's my question. I'm going to start with you, Tom. Is he a superstar man of the people, or is he just another politician trying to make a name for himself? Or something more sinister?
I think he's exception. I think he's actually someone who went there and did what he said he was going to do. There was no secret here. Barack Obama said 5 days before the election, I'm going to fundamentally transform this country. He went to Washington and did what he was going to do. Ted Cruz told everybody this is what he was going to do, which, by the way, every other Republican senator and congressman ran on, that they were going to defund Obamacare, that they were going to gut it, that they were going to stop it. At the end of the day, Ted Cruz is the only one standing.
And he did nothing. And he didn't either. He didn't stop anything.
He did nothing.
He didn't stop anything. All he did was show himself to be the megalomaniacal person who wants to be president of the United States. And he did absolutely nothing to further the cause that you sent him to. Well, you didn't because you're not from Texas.
There you go.
But his Texas constituents sent him to Washington to do. He did not do that. All he did was give us green eggs and ham, compare us to the Chamberlain in support of the Nazis. Kissed his wife. I mean, he did everything but what he was there to do. And John McCain, in 5 minutes, did the thing that Ted Cruz could never do, which is why he can never be president of the United States.
John McCain?
No, John McCain. Well, he could have.
He can't be president of the United States
now
because
he's too old.
He's already gone over to that side.
Right.
I think what you're responding to is an opposition party. And it would be great if we could just do that, if we could just stamp out a law and everybody agree. Ted Cruz is the only one who did what he's supposed to do, and he did it within the lines, and he did it within the rules.
And I'm supposed to stay in the middle, but let me just pose the question.
You always come in the middle.
It's one thing to go and do what you say you're going to do. It's another thing to hold the American economy and our international standing in the global economy hostage to do it.
Can you take that back a few months to all the spending bills? You see, this is the thing about the CR. The question is, why are we at a CR?
Please don't argue the two wrongs make it right.
I'm not about wrong, no.
Okay.
Why are we in a CR? Why are we in a last minute, as the Reverend said this morning, why are we governing in a crisis, okay? Why are we in CR? Why have we been in CR since 2008?
Because of folks like Ted Cruz who have made it their mission to come in and disrupt government.
No,
this has been their plan. This is not, listen.
The Senate has not passed the budget.
The Congress has not done anything, which is why the approval rating.
The Senate has not passed the budget.
Which is why Congress's approval rating is 9%, or hovering around 10. The reality is we send people to Washington to get things done for us.
And
we don't send them to Washington to sit there for
themselves.
27 hours exactly, and that's why most of those people go in poor and come out millionaires because they're insider trading. They're doing all of this crap so that we can look at them and hopefully they can run for president one day because that's the end game. Right?
And let me add to that point. The CR is a way to stick in that $200 million for the chicken farm and that industrial plant and everything else that you could never get through in a budget in the light of day. But at that CR, it's, hey, come on, you're going to kill the country. You got to go, got to go. Okay, let me get this in.
But
both Republicans and Democrats
changed.
put all the goodies in at the last minute in a CR. And the beauty of it is you now have Ted Cruz to point to and allow them to do it again.
And with
Let's get back to why there's a CR.
We'll have to leave it right there. Tom Avitable, thank you very much. Karen Hunter, thank you very much. We'll see you again on Left, Right, and Middle.
I hope so.
And you are watching Arise America.